Welcome, sisters and brothers in arms. We honor those who follow the old, nearly forgotten, code of honor. Our metal we wear proudly, like the scars we earn to keep our magnificent sovereignty. Our reverence to each other is only matched by our incorruptible allegiance to our morality and ideals. Warrior kings and queens sit blooded in thrones of shattered bones. Lives are but fragile drops of rain. We all fall down vehemently, yet we remain inevitable. For truth to victory, for honor infinitely, we uphold the code and embody it with a quality example. We are mighty. We are unwavering. We are inexorable.
What? Welcome to Knights of Gygaxgate. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. We have Tim Kask this evening. It's a complete blowout at the end, but the sound was good. And there's always going to be one of those little hiccups when you start one of these lives when you're me. So,
it's good. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, Richard Nixon, of course, we had Watergate, so everybody knows that we're complete villains, even though, you know, the whole "I'm not a crook" thing, you know.
Yeah, well,
stole it from Richard Nixon.
I remember it probably better than you do, because I lived it as an active citizen of the U.S. back then.
It was a little before my time.
Yeah, I watched him leave the White House.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
First,
so I mean, Gygaxgate. I mean, ultimately, it's not so much.
You're talking about the perceived assault on Gary and Dave by the newly woke players. And I hope I didn't offend anybody with that word, because I'm strictly limiting it to that subset of players.
Spontaneous bang warning. You have to make sure that everybody gets that, so nobody's head explodes on impact of words onto eardrums.
I've already been castigated once, and so my new word for that word is the new interpretationists.
That's right. And if you say it twice,
the
ninnies. The ninnies.
Yeah, and that's so close to other words if you didn't know English. Yeah, they're saying that we were all evil and we were bad and we were racist and we made orcs be black people and Latinos and Chicanos and it's all an enormous load of horse shit.
Well, people need to understand culture as well. I think it's unhealthy to look back on it. And, you know, we touched on this last time about, you know, comparing our culture today by the standards of, just a moment, by the, comparing our culture today by the standards, you know, comparing these, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're making it, interpreting 50 years ago through today's lens is a little bogus in itself. Culture changes. No culture has changed faster than popular culture in the last 50 years, particularly since the birth of the internet. Firestorms, dumpster fires spring up on Facebook, and they flame for 2 days, and then they're gone. And people just really got it all irritated about nothing.
Well, you know, if this becomes common practice, they're going to start chiseling warnings on Michelangelo's work. I mean, can we go back that far? How far back can we cancel people's accomplishments? I mean, the way I look at it is all of our culture is here for us to experience, whether it triggers us or not. I think it's part of life to be triggered. You know what I mean? Giving people a warning for expressive art.
As a history teacher, former, and a history buff, culture is a mirror, and if we decide one thing is bad, slaves owning other human beings, then everybody from the Greeks forward were bad. And so everything they did is now invalid, which means all our knowledge of geometry and democracy and all those things are now suspect, because the Greek society held that slavery was okay. That's the extreme that you can take this to. And I don't think we should. As I said the other night, I never, ever, not once heard Gary utter an even possibly denigrating word or phrase or comment about anyone of color. Ever.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing to understand, is that this isn't, I think we all need to understand, and some people do understand, but I think it just needs to be said that, comparing that time to standards today, the way society is now, is not only completely unfair, but it's false. I don't even think we should be applying a lot of these ideologies to our own culture. I feel like we're going to be the laughing stock of human history. Think about when historians look back on this time and they try to add logic to a lot of the ideologies that we're seeing today, some of which we're going to talk about this evening. We have some great topics lined up. A friend of mine, Michael, he was on with us last time we streamed. I came up with some great topics. I'd like to introduce him now. He's the current CCO of the new shareholders of TSR. And he's a good dude. I'm going to bring him in. Michael, how you doing?
Hello. Is this working? I hope it is.
Yeah,
I've been having.
Yeah, your sound's coming through clear, loud and clear.
Yeah, moves and sounds come out, so it's working.
Oh, that's good. I like it, wouldn't it?
Be prepared for irreverent tonight, because I'm in a very irreverent mood.
That's a good place to be.
This late at night, I usually am.
Yeah. I hear you there. Yeah. Well, thanks for the heads up. Glad I could make it.
Yeah. Thanks for
waiting for Ed. He's lost somewhere in the internet.
Yeah, the Archmage. I mean,
up there with the buffalo.
I sent him the link. I sent him the link. He's probably working up a brew, or he might be on the tail end of some research for an amazing new spell,
or chasing a moose out of his garbage. A moose is one animal I would not take a single step towards a moose.
Have you ever seen one, like, been in real life with one?
Yes.
They are so huge.
Through a fence with one, and I could, like this.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm in moose country.
And then I watched a thing on TV and watched two moose whacking at each other with those enormous antlers that they use like shovels. Mm-hmm. Holy cow!
Yeah, that is amazing power. And we were in the car, and the thing's knees were eye level. You're in the car going like, okay, now don't touch the horn.
I once put a prehistoric moose. I once put a prehistoric moose in an outdoor adventure I was doing, mm-hmm. and did it mess up the party? Whack with those. It didn't have a great to hit, but boy, if it hit you with one side or the other of those antlers, and of course it got a swing at each mm-hmm. side, each turn. Mm-hmm. Oh Lord, they're poking it in the fanny and trying to do everything they can to keep from getting whacked with those antlers.
Oh my goodness, I can just imagine that. A whole handful of dice. It's like, let's see.
Yeah.
Moose are delicious.
4-sider sounds about right every time you get hit. I love using a handful of smaller dice mm-hmm. for the enormous range you get.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love those too. Yeah, we would do that. And
6 and 8 4-siders are one of my favorite damage for monsters I create.
Mm-hmm.
They just either maul you or nip you.
Yeah, it's like either get a little or you get all of it.
Yeah, you get the whole buffet. You can either have an appetizer or the whole buffet.
Oh yeah. And I loved. What I would do is I would take people and I will say, okay, you get hit, massive damage, right? Well, if it's a massive creature, Now you've also been flung. So we're going to say when you hit whatever you're being
of
flung
course.
at,
Of course.
more damage.
Well, I have never been one when I've written adventures. I like lots of outdoors and the stuff I've done. I've never been one to go for super-de duper magic-y monsters.
Mm-hmm.
I just make them bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I put these crocodilians in the Arredondo series that were going up 8 feet into the tree after you, and I got my playtesters called me on it. So then I showed them a portrait or photograph of this guy who was fishing in about a 16-foot V-hull aluminum boat, who's running along the gunnels of the boat, 1 foot on either side, as this crocodile is coming into the boat after him.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't argue about crocodiles coming up on the raft anymore.
Yeah.
Who needs magic stuff when you can just take sort of natural stuff and make it bigger and prehistoric sort of. And yeah, crocodiles.
Yeah, just exaggerate life. I hear you. Yeah,
We
that
don't
can
even
be
have to
scarier than
exaggerate.
fantasy sometimes.
Well,
yeah, you don't even have to.
I took praying mantises up real big one time. In the same, it was second half of that adventure. I made them real big, and in studying praying mantises, I found out that they usually strike for the head. Mm-hmm. Boy, was that fun! You can justify, if you play that way, critical hits to the head, and if you play in a system that has, heinous damage rules, that could be it. But it's natural. It's what they do naturally. And then
That's right. They're beautifully savage creatures.
Well,
I know some beautifully savage creatures among the human race as well, and they're fantastic people. They don't eat their mates' heads, but they're.
Well, I made their
in the spirit.
I made their egg cases valued art objects, and one that still had eggs inside, super valuable, because I found out that when they start hatching inside, the first one eats the second one and eats the third one, and then he's full. So the fourth one comes out and he eats the fifth one, and you end up with 1 or 2 in an egg case. It started out with 80 to 100 eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Michael's got a mason jar there. He was downing something at it. You got a jar of shine there, or what, brother?
It's water. I'm sticking to it. That's my story.
Yeah,
I'm sticking to it
too. Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love those things. And the other thing we love to do is I love to have the critters be worth something. I mean, if I take some lobies out and it's like, all right, I want you to go get these eggs, Phoenix eggs or whatever they are. And it's because the local chef, man, he wants these eggs. You go get them.
Thank you for coming, Cinder Shadow Gaming. And hello
it's
as
gonna
well.
Be,
we're glad
hey, Cinder Shadow, what's up?
Thank you so much for coming to have fun with us. We're just shooting the breeze and having a good time tonight. I wanted to take this minute to also introduce you guys to a friend of mine. I have an artist friend who's a former Image artist over at Image Comics. He worked on Atomic Mike through Across the Pond Studios. He's done a plethora of indie sensitive, very talented guy. He has some work coming out that I turned in. It'll be released with the Bullet Maker campaign that's live now on Indiegogo. I would like to introduce you guys to Rick Bonilla. Rick, how you doing, buddy? Oh, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Loud and clear, Captain.
I had to set up my camera for tonight. I had packed away, and I'm trying to figure out where the light is. I think, let me try something else.
Well, it looks like you got really good sunlight coming in from your left side.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, now that's a little more even.
There you go.
I think that's a little better, yeah.
I think you're right, Cinder Shadow. A trigger warning and Scooby-Doo seem to be everywhere. Thank you so much for watching and for watching last time. We appreciate it. And so I was telling these guys, Rick, that you did some amazing work. Thank you so much for your work on the Vault story that's coming out in Bullet Maker. You're a talented guy, and it's always fun working with you. Like when you did the Kerr pages, it was fantastic. I love your artwork, man. This is Tim Kask. In the top right here, he's the creator of Dragon Magazine for old TSR. I know you're a fan of tabletop. You're a fan of tabletop gaming, like I am. So this is him. And then this
legend.
Well, one of my greatest pleasures in the years that I was a dragon was all the artists that I got to give exposure to and quote discovered. That was one of my greatest pleasures. And to see so many of them do well later on, hey, my taste wasn't all that bad after all.
I think
Yeah.
you're correct, Tim. I think you're correct. We love
But
your
I
work,
didn't know
Ben.
jack shit about covers and stuff like that because I'd worked on a college newspaper, a college yearbook, you know. And I learned one thing. If you haven't learned this yet, I'll save you grief. Never make a cover yellow.
Okay, this is good to know. Why yellow?
They sit on the rack and stink like day old fish.
Okay, all right, you do noted.
I did an early Dragon magazine, and we were taking off like a skyrocket. And I did a yellow cover, and I got no reorders. And that was a normal thing. We looked to get about a 20% reorder every month on standing order. Got none.
It's definitely the color yellow's fault.
Well, several issues later, I did another cover because the artwork was amazing, but it was predominantly yellow. And I got returns on that one. Yellow does not, unless you're the National Geographic, yellow does not encourage people to pick up a magazine. And I
Tim, you're
learned
full
many
of phrases.
years
You're
later,
a gold mine.
many years
Hashtag blame
later,
yellow.
I found out that was a fact. That it's why you don't see yellow book jackets. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a yellow book jacket or front? Or, yellow's a poster color, not a bicolor.
I see why this guy
Yellow's
has been working in an industry so long and why he's done so well. He's a gold mine for catchphrases. Everything he says is catchy. It's like it's magic.
I don't try to be.
I see why they had you in charge
I'm looking
of
at all my books now. Now you got me looking at them, and yeah, most of them
Yellow
are
is
red
a
and blue.
natural, like the yellow frogs are poisonous. Yellow on hornets. It's like yellow is a natural, like,
Well,
natural trigger warning, brother.
It took me 2 times over about 12 or 13 issues to figure out the yellow was not a good cover color. And I never did another one again, and I never got returns again.
Rick,
Nice.
this is Michael Hovermale he's the CCO of new TSR.
Oh,
They
Hey.
acquired the new trademark and they're looking
Ryan.
to.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want
Go
to tell
ahead.
you, we are TSR. We're going to drop the new. We're not new. We are. We're the only ones. So yeah, just to let you know. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll try to be correct. I'll try to
But there's
be
also
correct about it in the
original.
future.
So I'm trying to find a great way to talk about, y'all, Tim and Ed and everything. I mean, do you like
Well, I'm having
original?
trouble swallowing what I just. I'm having trouble getting used to that idea. You're another TSR, but you'll never be the TSR.
Yeah.
It's hard
Well,
when
we
you
are
have the old.
yeah. Yeah.
When I'm dead,
It's hard when you have the old. You got to
When
understand
I'm
these
dead-
fellas have got decades into their craft and
When I'm
original
dead,
TSR.
the old TSR
what?
will be gone because I'm the last one of the original 5 alive.
But what I think is important to remember too, as well, as much as we all appreciate, and if you don't, you should be appreciating Tim Kask's original work. Gary Gygax's son, Ernie Gygax, is working over with the guys over here at TSR now, current TSR. And I want to see him do well. I want to see the bloodline of Gary Gygax do. I want to see Luke Gygax do well. He has been doing very well, and I want to see everybody do well. Personally, I'd love to see.
You got to get rid of
quality.
the widow.
What's that?
Then you gotta deal with the widow.
Yeah.
Because until that lawsuit with the offspring now producing a will that supposedly wasn't available upon Gary's death. Now I'm saying supposedly. I
have no knowledge of it. I'm in the dark.
Well, I have a little. Big surprise there. Okay, I have a little, and there was another. At first, it was declared that Gary died intestate. So Wisconsin common law kicked in. Well, a will was produced. And so there's a lawsuit involving that. Now, the widow has absolutely prohibited any form of use of the name Gygax in anything that might even remotely have anything to do with gaming, fantasy role-playing. All right. I mean, the list of her trademarks is as long as your arm. Spent a ton of money filing for all these trademarks. That's what forced the magazine out. The Gygax brothers can't even use their own name.
Wow.
Deal with her, and then a lot of the other things will fall into place. But right now,
well, now how do we get to her, Tim? Do we have to follow a winding road up into a twisting mountain pass into the third spire of the darkest keep in all of the land? Like,
she lives in Lake Geneva, as far
oh,
as
just in Lake Geneva. Oh, okay, brother.
and
You just have to take a road trip.
No, there's speculation that she's got some issues, and it may well be. Again, speculation.
Yeah, that we can't say. You know what I mean?
I
like
know-
the idea
I
of
know
getting in touch with
in my
parties
dealings,
involved, and
I've had considerable dealings
you know,
with her in the past, and she's an extremely difficult person to deal with or to reason with. Reason. And I'll just leave it at that stress point.
yeah. I mean, Cinder Shadow. I appreciate your comments, and I would just like to read yours right now. It's crazy. It's a crazy ride watching TSR stuff over the last year. I'm happy to hear and see that Wizards of the Coast is no longer able to hold that title. You know, that's the thing. The new Dungeons and Dragons is so much different than the old Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm not afraid of different in any way, but I've totally I know as the editions came out, I've fallen away from those newer editions of the game because of the way that it was structured. You know, people could call me a dinosaur. I started playing in second edition, but I played a lot of first edition with my friends as a kid. You know, even newer gaming groups, we go back and play the first edition. For role play, like 4 was absolutely terrible with the cards you had to cut out. Right there was the point when I just stopped. Like I played some third edition as well too. There were some parts of it that I liked, but I just think there was this cutoff where the structuring of the game went off from the mark, and then now we've got all of these new ideas that are in publishing that nobody asked for. I think the people that asked for it were such a small number of customers that I think it could potentially hurt the game even worse if that's possible. Let's get into some of these topics. I want to share my screen so that we can get on these because we've got 3 of them I want to get through, and I definitely want to get through them before we stop and not without doing a marathon stream. So that we're respectful of everyone's time. Just a moment. We'll get to share here. Just a minute. Not technical difficulties yet. We're not going to go trigger warning there. We're just, okay, here we go. Here we go.
Bust out some giant manises.
Oh.
Let's go.
Here we go. The first topic on the agenda, Wizards of the Coast should remove the disclaimer statement on all of its legacy products. This is on change.org. This is a petition where people have been signing to remove warning labels from old first edition Dungeons and Dragons. These warning labels are put on all their content that you can download now. This petition is against. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is just really quickly, my stance is that all artwork, whether it's in fantasy, any creative expression, shouldn't have warning labels on it. I believe it should be experienced by the viewer or interacted with, in this case, where it's a game, and that it's part of life to, even if you are triggered, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't believe there's anything wrong with that whatsoever, but that's part of life, is to be triggered by things and to accept them and learn to have the character to overcome it and not to have it affect you in some adverse way is a part of being a human being, and having thicker skin and growing as a human being, and not using time focusing on how triggered you are by something, or how it bothered you, or what emotions it brought up in you. Having those emotions is okay, but dealing with them in an unhealthy way is, I believe, is kind of what growing up is all about. Now
So
we'll
what does
go
it
right
say?
around.
What's the warning?
Oh well, let's see. They've let's see if it's posted
up
here
there.
in the petition.
Right
It's
there in
right
the
at the top.
quotes. The quotes is where.
Some older content may reflect. Well, quit moving
Oh,
around.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
May
sorry.
reflect ethnic, racial, and gender prejudice that were commonplace in American society at that time. These depictions were wrong then and are wrong today. This content is presented as it was originally created, because to do otherwise would be the same as claiming these prejudices never existed. There's a grain of truth in there, and the rest is it's iced bullshit, frosted bullshit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well
They
said,
could
Tim.
have done it. They could have done it in an entirely different approach. They could have stressed the original publishing date on the very front page. Originally published in. Okay, and all right, now you've got a date. Now you've got a starting point. And if people want to read through it and go, "Oh shit, that was terrible," then they're going to put their own stuff into it. You put something like this at the front of the book, and they're going to find stuff that's terrible.
Yeah, they're
I
gonna
think
look.
so. I think that's a great insight, that by putting a warning on it, that you're almost inviting people to find things in the work that are triggering. They may even find things that are mildly offensive, things that most of us would just write off if we were offended by it, and potentially make a problem out of it. Looking for problematic artistic expression, which doesn't make sense to me. It's always subjective.
Well,
So
the first thing you're going to look for is the warning. If it says warning, this contains XYZ, your natural tendency is to obviously go, well, where's the XYZ? Because now
You're
I
gonna
need to
find
know.
it.
Yeah, I need to
Exactly.
know where that is. It's just like, and we're kind of hardwired that way. You'd come back to the cave and
Yeah,
be
we're
like, there's a
curious.
bear
You're
over
gonna-
there.
why does it have an R rating? Why does
We-
it have a whatever rating?
I
Yeah,
think
what's-
they could have done something like this much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's a lot of stuff there that's true. It is a product of its times. It is also a distillation of the the pantheon of fantasy novels and folklore of its time. And then a mild.
it's so
make
funny
out
that
of
they
it
put
what-
that in there. Though
Make
it's so
out
funny.
of it what you will, whatever. But this tells them what to look for. And the other one just says, this is what it is. Make of it what you will.
Mm-hmm.
And you've washed your hands of offending anybody, because you've clearly stated these are reprints originally published in 1979, or whatever.
That makes sense that they were doing it for their own, potentially just for their own disclaimer, essentially.
Well, but if you think you need a disclaimer, so just like if you're having a film and you need a disclaimer that says, any depictions here within this film, any likenesses of people here, there are fictional and not meant to be, the disclaimer on films, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I think I think it's virtue signaling.
Well, it is, and
There's
the
a
thing
term
is,
I
if you
just
look at,
recently learned.
yeah, and
It's a great
why?
term.
What is
People do it all the
this?
time.
What are they specifically saying? They're saying that it may reflect ethnic, racial, and gender prejudices, and then they make the claim that it's commonplace in American society at that time. So you would then have to look back to the publishing date, and you're claiming now that you have enough knowledge and authority to say that it was commonplace in American society at that time. And it's like, okay, so now you're a historian. Now you're telling us that all this stuff was commonplace. It was just like rampant. Everybody was doing it, blah, 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 whatever. And then where is it exactly? I mean, you have an argument for technicality if you say that the whole entire orc race is evil, then technically you are being racist because you are saying that race is evil and you're talking about a race. But then again, it's also, it's a fantasy, it's a fiction. It's like saying all of your chess pieces are black and all of my chess pieces are white. Okay. It's a game piece. Why does that even matter? It's like, so yeah. And that's, we talked a little bit about this. If you have, when we ended up with Ed, if I write a book that has slavery in it, it's all, slavery and things are going on, that doesn't mean that I think slavery is a good idea. It's a piece of the story. It's a piece of the narrative. So yes, it may have racism or ethnic, racial, gender prejudices, whatever you might want to try to read into it, but it's also a part of a fictional story element game. It's like, I don't think Leonardo DiCaprio is the person that he was in Django Unchained. It's acting, it's fiction, it's storytelling. I don't think that, one of your Tim's mantises is going to freaking come through here and eat me with cantaloupe-sized eggs that I'm trying to sell. It's like, no, it's a fiction,
They're going to go after Jamie Foxx now, aren't they? They're probably going to. They gave up going after Quentin Tarantino because he told them all to fuck off. If anything in his work's offensive, then he's just like, what is canceling? You guys fucking pound sand.
It's just such a somebody who's willing to play along. If you tell them right off the bat, no, I don't care. What else do they have? How do you mess with somebody who really doesn't care if you mess with them because he doesn't care about your opinion? So at that point, they got to find somebody else. And that's the whole point. They want to find. They're trying to look for the weak link. They're trying to look to see who's scared, who's got something to lose. And a lot of times these stars don't even mean it. It's just they have to make a living in Hollywood, so they gotta bend the knee. Look at what happened with Mario Lopez. He doesn't believe in the whole, your child should be able to pick its sex at 3 or 4, which is the comment that he made. And eventually he had to apologize and, I got to seek some counseling and I need some help and help me grow. Not because he believes in it, but because when Monday morning comes, he's got a family to feed and look where he's working. So when I see these apologies and stuff, most of them, I don't believe them,
Well, I don't think
Well, you have to make them. I mean, if you're trying to sell something to the masses,
I don't think that anything
on the air.
I don't think that anything that we wrote in the time I was there, that I had nothing, even this stuff I had no hand in, had any of this crap lying underneath it. Yeah. Because we were too damn busy trying to shape and form and control and herd cats and make the game develop and expand the way we felt it would best develop and expand. That's all crap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, individuals at TSR had individual. There was a notorious misogynist, but you never ever would have known that. All right, except when he failed to hire a white female artist.
I'm streaming live from a zoo, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, AKA I have a house full of kids.
Howler monkeys. Howler monkeys. I heard them. Live in a zoo. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I'm. It kind of. I don't know. It's like I know that you guys didn't put any of that in there.
Yeah, I'm offended to say that we did, and they could have handled it so much better and not been such a damn virtue signal.
I'm offended. Someone said they're offended.
Pat. I hope they had dislocated the shoulder. They patted themselves on the back incessantly with that.
Yeah.
Again, it could have been handled in a much more dignified, classy way.
Yeah.
And still, they're off the hook because they didn't say it. They reprinted the book that said it.
Yeah.
How hard is that?
And the only way that you ever find that is by drawing that line between reality and the fiction. Because if you read the books, I challenge anybody to show me exactly in that book that reflects an actual, racism or actual thing that was going on in America. So you go to the 70s and you go, all right, this was going on in the 70s. these movements were happening. These people could have been being treated this way. All these kind of things. Where is that in the game? Where it's supposed to be a reflection, right? And unless it's a funhouse mirror, that reflection is going to be pretty accurate. So where is it? Because I don't see a reflection.
See, there's a big thing that
Maybe-
we're
maybe
missing
there's
on this
something to
topic is
display.
we're talking about culture like gaming at face value, and we're not like what I would like to do is also let everybody know that this type of cultural behavior can lead into other things and maybe even more severe ideas, such as this next topic that I wanted to talk about. Once you start putting label warnings on tabletop games and people start buying into the shit, then why not say the U.S. Constitution? It seems like there's a warning label put on here. Our forefathers didn't do a good enough job making sure everyone felt safe in the country. So we need to have a warning label so that people aren't triggered by the words that founded our country. This is...
Look, is bullshit, and it's a form of control, basically, because you're gonna have people that are, no matter what you do or what you say, and no matter what time period, somebody's gonna get triggered by something, and this is why, like, warning labels, they totally destroy a lot of the work. You know, if you're gonna go see an artist that you know is shocking, but the minute you walk in the door, they have a big disclaimer that says, "Oh, all the contents here is shocking," well, you're already prepared. So it's kind of, it takes away from the work, you know. The warning label that they're putting on stuff, I think it could be done a lot better, because I mean, damn, it doesn't matter what you say, somebody's going to attack you for it, because, you know, and the attacks that they use are so, it's not like they're specific, and that's one thing that I'm for, is specific. If you tell me that, you know, hey, such person got mugged, all right, let's find out who he is, we can home in on somebody, we can look and see who did it. But when they go, well, only black people get mugged, well, damn, you know, how are you going to go against that? You know, or when they're telling you that, and like right now on YouTube, you can use certain words, you can mention certain things. So what happens to videos that are, you know, describing a situation? I've watched several cases of, like, I would think one popped out one day, and I was watching where this YouTuber that became a murderer or something like that, and half the video was just bleeped out because they couldn't say, you know, certain words.
And even if you say
I
those
don't
words,
think
if you
it's
say
how-
those words right now, Rick, even if I say trigger warning, they're still going to strike my channel. So
Correct.
they've already got the choke chain on me, brother.
I remember there's a video that I made for my channel, and it was these pens that I found, and I put in the title. It was, you know, check out these sexy little pens. I gotta before I posted it, I had to change the title, because they said this is triggering, and so, like, okay, so I left it in the picture, but when I put it on the title, it wasn't on there. I still said it, and I don't know if they ever bleeped it or not. I mean, it only got like 10 views, but I was just excited. I found some cool pens to draw with, and that's usually my go-to look. Sometimes I call objects sexy. You know, hey, check out this sexy pen. Check out, you know.
Well, I think it's great to hear from you guys, Rick. You, especially you and Tim, you guys both served. I know you served in the Army and defended our country, and Tim served in the Navy. He said he was an actual sailor. Last stream, when I told him he could swear like a sailor, and he said, "Well, I am one, and I'm gonna." So,
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. We're talking about this. Tim, go ahead and give us your
May the
input on
thousands of eggs of praying mantises hatch simultaneously upon your mother's face.
Similar. Warning on the Constitution off the port bow.
Well, I believe that PolitiFact, which sometimes has been known to exaggerate, makes a point that is, there's a word for it when you take something to its extreme absurdity, and they've taken it here.
Yeah.
And you know, it's half true. So you got to look at that too. I don't believe that intelligent people need any kind of warning label. What we're dealing with is a lack of intelligent people that are absorbing this stuff.
I think you could be right, Tim.
No, nope. I'm sorry, man. Without that label, I'm gonna take my toaster into that bathtub. I gotta know. I
Good.
gotta know.
That's good.
I just ripped the tag off. I just ripped the tag off my mattress. I don't even know why.
Oh, triggered.
Yeah, well, actually, the only people that can't rip it off are the people that sell it to you. They expect you to cut it off because it's a pain in the ass. I researched that years and years and years ago, and you're absolutely entitled to cut them off, and the pillows too. You can remove those tags. It's only to the vendors.
Making copies of VHS tapes get you in trouble too.
Oh my goodness. Like how many times we tried to get heavy metal back in the day, and you had to get your buddy that had the tape of heavy metal because it was all banned everywhere, and it's all
It was all
bootleg.
grainy. It was like the 5th time or 6th time it'd been re-recorded. Yeah.
Let's go.
Cinder Shadows, right?
And then it downloaded all night long to get it.
Yep.
I can remember going to bed
Young people
and
today
having
will never know that
downloading.
type of pain.
and getting up in the morning and go, oh Jesus, 5% more to go.
Yeah, and it's still going. And if you were before like Z modem, if it failed, you lose it all.
Oh yeah.
There was no way to resume. Oh
That
boy,
was the
we're
worst thing,
sweating
wake
bullets.
up in the morning and go gone. Oh shit.
Yep. Oh man, I remember those days.
One of the first PDFs that I ever downloaded off the internet was Andrew Loomis, Drawing for All It's Worth. And I remember it was like 6:00 in the afternoon. I found it. I thought I'd discovered gold. So I started downloading it, and I left it downloading all night. And like you said, woke up the next morning, still 10% to go, went to work, had to wait a whole day and a half before I could even look at it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was really worth it, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. It was. I actually took it to work, printed it out in big sheets, and made a book out of
All
it.
right.
Yeah, it was worth it. It was worth that day and a half.
Oddly enough, none of the shit that I wasted a day and a half on turned out to be all that much worth it. So perhaps we just had different. Maybe I made a habit of downloading bum stuff.
Yeah.
We got another topic tonight we're talking about. I think he told me.
Yeah, that's right. We can go ahead and transition into this one. This one
I'll do it for you.
was significant for yeah, this one was significant in my childhood, and Tim's got something got something to say about it. He's got the cannons loaded, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into this next topic here. I'm just gonna put it on the screen and just let you go, okay?
Sure.
Okay, here we go.
Oh.
Oriental
disclaimer.
Adventures. Oh boy. Wonderful idea, horribly executed.
You mean the book itself?
Great idea to get DMs and their players to think about other venues than Central and Northern Europe or a jungle, an unnamed jungle somewhere. All right, great idea. Badly done. They mixed some cultural things up. They got some cultural things wrong. However, for the young 12, 14-year-old, what a door opener to, wow, there's all these other worlds. And hopefully they'll go on and read more and go, okay, now I get the real story. I got it undistorted. Great idea, horribly executed.
Yeah.
And that's what I spent 5 years at TSR trying to promote, particularly with Dragon Magazine, was there's other ways and places to play. That's
a beautiful concept. It's really only limited by your imagination, you know?
Well, it's not just castles and dungeons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not. And
all the time, yeah.
And there was outdoors was a big part of the early play. Getting from place to place was part of the adventure. And sometimes it took 2 weekend sessions to get there. And so you didn't do anything until the 3rd week. But believe me, shit happened on the way.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing. That's the adventure. And delving into a dungeon and delving into the into the anticipation and the buildup of the dungeon is just as important. It's like storytelling. You're developing a story, and the journey is just as much a part of it as the actual heroics.
Well,
beautiful statement, Tim.
This Horizon expansion was the same impulse we had at TSR that prompted me to publish the fiction stories in Dragon. They were hated at the beginning because people saw it as taking away column inches from more game articles, more game stories. But they became very beloved because, for one thing, the authors got better. But people started to see why we were publishing them. I did an Elsbrag de Camp set in Fantastic Ireland. Like, hey, look at this. You got this whole mythos to go rollick and frolic in. And that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to get them to see past the dungeon and the Central European or perhaps Transylvanian castle.
Yeah, and I love the way you put that, because it's a glorification of these cultures, even though they got some things wrong. I mean, and this was, like we were talking, it's pre-internet. You know, they're doing what they can. They're putting things together.
Everything had to be looked up in a book at a library.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
It was hard.
Right there. So you're trying to vivify and glorify this, and you're looking at this Oriental Adventures going, wow, this is beautiful and wonderful. And when I remember when that thing hit the shelves and we went nuts, we're just like, oh, we can do this, we can do that, and all this beautiful stuff. It vivified the culture, and it was wonderful to bring that out. And I think part of the reason why Ryan, that we had to discuss this, because this right now is unfortunately, again, one of those huge points of contention. People are saying it's completely racist, and it was a totally racist thing. They freaked out on WotC about it being a totally racist thing. And part of that,
people are reading it on their own, but we didn't read the. Let's read the warning that they put on this.
Same warning.
It might be out of ignorance.
Well, part of that is, like you said, not judging something out of time. Back then, Oriental was fine, and that was the way that it was referred to. Nowadays, they've stricken the word Oriental from all of the rosters and everything, and now we use Asian, and the government eliminated it. Yeah, and it's fine. And there's a whole PBS special about it, and it's like, okay, no big deal. But you still have Oriental rugs, and you still have Oriental restaurant. You still have Oriental and other things, but you can't refer to the people as Oriental the way the book does. And it's like, okay, cool. But that doesn't mean that the content of the book, it was meant to glorify it. It was meant to look at this awesome ninja,
You guys, Jesus, Jiminy, Cricket, Christ, they put the warning in the front and the back of the body. Look at that.
Yeah, it's all over.
Front and back. Wow.
Yeah. And there was, it was a big, huge thing. And as part of that, they also went after Karatur, and they said that was all racist and cultural minimalism and all these other kind of things. And it's like, it depends on how you look at it,
Hey,
we
were just a bunch of game designers, for Christ's sakes. We weren't scholars.
Yeah.
We did a hell of a lot of research the hard way, out of books, at libraries. I once spent 3 entire afternoons researching some stuff after I had to have the books called from Madison, and I couldn't leave with them, so I had to go back every afternoon and do my research the hard way. Okay, now it's so easy to be an expert.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I mean,
anybody with an internet connection can be a critic and an expert.
You could
I think everybody,
a so-called expert, because now you also have the deluge of 50 bajillion tons of stuff. I mean, at least you had sort of a source that you could go to say, well, here's Britannica. It's like, okay, cool, we're gonna run with that because that's what we got, and it was good enough to be put in print. But you go on the internet, you get like 90,000 pounds of. How do you even decipher that? And where is it coming from? Did somebody go on Wikipedia? Because I tell you, Wikipedia's got. Yeah, where are your sources?
My Wikipedia entry completely left out one of my children.
Oh no!
I don't even remember which one.
You could
I
be-
gotta
At the
talk-
library?
I gotta get with somebody who, anybody that's watching this, if you're a wiki editor, get in touch with me, because last time I looked at it, it was so much bullshit.
Yep.
Incomplete. You know, I'm surprised I even had one. And I've had it for a long time. It was worse, but it's still not right.
Yeah. And you can't change it without actual references from what they consider valued resources or printed
I
materials.
can't change my own shit.
Yeah. You can't go on and say,
I'm not a valued resource.
Yeah.
Is that bullshit or what?
that is
It's
full.
me, you assholes. I had 2 children.
Yeah. It's like,
What are you gonna do? You know, who are you gonna resource that I had 2 children?
yeah. Well, we need it in print. Make sure it's send an article to the Wall Street Journal, and then we'll believe you if they print it.
So what
Yeah.
you're saying, Sailor, is that Torpedo 1 and Torpedo 2 both were a direct hit?
Well, I'm saying that
Cue rim shot.
they had a great idea.
Yeah.
They had mediocre research, even for the time, because quite frankly, there was another product out at the time that competed that absolutely got, I should say, I'm wrong, old expression, Japanese culture, and that was Bushido. And he had researched the hell out of Japan. Now, was it perfect? No. He was an Occidental studying the Orient. But it was damn good, much better than TSR's depiction of Japan and Japanese culture. Much better. They could have, honest to God, if it wasn't for the fact that they didn't like each other, they could have used his set as a reference and found several things they could have done better in the Japanese section of the book. There's been criticisms about some of the sections in that book being scant. Well, hell's bells, the research available, the information available on some of those cultures was damn scant at the time. Again, pre-internet. And unless you had access to a college library and could hang out there for a week, damn scant. But of course, now today, everything's there at your fingertips. And so, you know, we were wrong. No, we weren't wrong. We might have been incomplete.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Not wrong, but incomplete. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Admitted. Might been. Now, see, I had nothing to do with that book. I had nothing to do with anything at D&D after the first 3 hardbounds were put out. Then my association, I went solely to periodicals. I mean, I didn't go somewhere, but all my attention went into periodicals because we had a lot of shit going too.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's just a matter of how you're going to look at it. I mean, are you talking about, wow, look at these cool ninjas, this is so awesome, I'm glad? Or are you going to go, oh, the ninjas are not accurate, they're not the right shade of black, and I don't see how it's, you know.
As a kid,
There's
reading
the
that as a
whole thing with
preteen,
plenty of time
For
to
Christ's
get-
sakes, they're D&D ninjas.
I know.
as a right.
It's
It's a game.
not like it's not Scott Bazar, I believe, is the one who wrote Bushido. They're not his ninjas. They didn't have a fighting matrix like he did that had actual ninja sword moves and maneuvers and shit. No. It was, hey, here's another culture for you to run wild in because it's all fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all fantasy.
Well, I thought, yeah, I mean, I liked the book when
And-
I was a kid.
and
I was
there's no-
inspired, and I was big into Mortal Kombat at the time. And I actually, my favorite part of the book was where they had, you could roll and make your own ninja or your own character. There was like a table that was in that book, and I used it to make my own ninja classes. And it would, like, you could do it based on the strength of the campaign. You could alter it. You know, they
You're
always
talking
gave
Mortal
like
Kombat
loose gun.
online.
Yeah, just like all of them. They've made so many. They made like 15 different Mortal Kombats, but like at the time, it was like Mortal Kombat 2, and
But
so
I'm saying
like,
you played it online.
oh
It's
yeah,
a computer game.
oh Mortal
The
Kombat.
Mortal Kombat
yeah,
was
I played
an
it for the
arcade game.
consoles.
In
It was an
consoles.
arcade game and
It was
consoles.
a console game. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I had pinball. I just trying to figure out where I was in the timeline there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right. I had an Atari. My son had an Atari that we played 3-man football on.
Oh yeah, I had an Atari as a kid too. That's my first game system.
Command. I have an unused Missile Command cartridge sitting over here on my pool table.
Oh, nice.
I dug it out of a cardboard box. A box inside a cardboard box that hadn't been opened in 20 years.
That's awesome. Yeah,
that's very cool.
I love
I'll
Atari.
I'll give it out as a surprise some night.
I loved my Atari, and then when my children got older, I bought them for a while. There you can buy just the controller. Looks like the original Atari controller, but all the games are in it.
Oh,
and
really?
Of course, they play with it for about 20 minutes, and it just wasn't interesting to them. So I play it every once in a while. I'll break it out and play it. But I don't, but to them, the games that they play are.
Look at what they're comparing it to.
What we played.
They're comparing it to cartoons that look like moving photographs.
Yeah.
And we're playing on pixel games that we enjoy the heck out of.
Yeah, like adventure. That your hero was a square. You were moving a square along, and I remember
like
when my kids
Zelda.
got older.
Come on, my son had. I think my son had Zelda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he had Zelda. Yeah, and you plugged it into the back. Ours plugged into the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a long time. My son's in his 40s. It was a long time ago.
I know mine are in their 20s.
Mine are in their 20s.
Yeah, I got 20s. And one of my best memories is my son. He got old enough to play. Sat him down. I've got all the consoles, on an old CRT TV, and put in Frogger. And gets in going with Frogger, it dies. And this kid has no quit. So an hour or so later, he comes up to me because, Dad, when do I win? When does the game end? And I said, well, what is it? He says, well, come and see. So I go see. And he's just nailing all the frogs. Just like bam, 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 bam. Win. Back in the day, those games never ended. It just kept getting harder and harder and harder until you were dead. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, there you go. There's a life lesson. It's just going to keep getting harder until you're dead.
Back then it was score.
It was score. It was like,
there was no end.
So we took the notepad and we just wrote it all down, and we just like, okay, here's the leaderboard. What's a leaderboard? This is what we used to do. And you'd go down to the arcades. Like, those are my initials.
Yeah, I have a pinball machine over here that I'm pointing at, and up in the corner, very weathered, is the high score scored on that pinball machine, probably over 20 years ago when it was on the other end of the basement before we redid the basement. But I never want to get rid of my pinball machine, even though right now it needs I got a lot of work to do. Yeah, I would love some pinball. That would be great. Yeah, I got an old mechanical 2-player. None of it's 5 digits. All right. Nice. The high score is 183,000. Had to roll it twice.
Nice. That is awesome.
Hey, Ed messaged me a little while back, and I just caught it on Twitter. And I saw him come in here earlier, but he was having camera difficulties. Yes. And he tried reinstalling his software, and he couldn't get it to go. But he said he sends his regards, and that he'll catch us next time. You be sure and tell him I'm going to get even with him for dumping out. After he told me today he was going to be here tonight. He's playing. You think he's playing hooky to go down by the river? No, his camera didn't work when I set up a Zoom meeting with him. His camera didn't work then either. So I don't know. Oh, it didn't. Oh yeah, he was having trouble with his driver or something. I thought he played hooky so he could go chase girls. No, okay. we were only able to. Well, he could see me, but I couldn't see him in our Zoom talk today. Yeah, he messaged me and told me. So
don't let him off the hook. You're a talking hand. Have him in here. Make him a talking hand. We can just
an arch wizard. He's an archmage too. So I mean, you have to take that into consideration. I mean,
there you go. Yeah, we could just imagine him.
He could just blink me from existence. Why would I? I don't want to.
I know we talked a little bit, Ryan, about this, and it's. Do you want me to finish off the warning label stuff that we talked about?
It's
What's
bullshit.
that? Well, we
Don't
went through
agree?
all of
It's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
We're up.
It's
We're past
bullshit,
an
but the
hour
point-
now.
Yeah, and also I'll go fast. Point
we
is,
beat this to death on 2 different nights. It's bullshit.
it is bullshit, and I just want to offer something to people that are doing this. It's like, you understanding how you work, understanding how you operate as a human being. When you observe something or you consume some form of media and you have an emotional response, and you have these things, and you go, okay, I've had this emotional response, but realize that it's you're looking at something static. It's not like a bear's coming to eat you. So yeah, great. It made you mad. It made you sad. Whatever it did to you, cool. But then you got to take a deep breath and realize it's like, okay, cool. And so you don't need a warning label. Hopefully you can deal. It's not going to jump off the page and eat you. I don't know.
Wonder
just,
what
just to try to
point-
help.
I wonder if there's an opportunity, or at what point I can tell them to shove the warning labels up their ass, directly up their ass.
Well, if this petition gets signed enough, I don't know.
With
But
with the drawn diagram, I'll commission Rick to draw the diagram of how they could shove it up their ass, and then I'll have it colored by one of my guys who's amazing, and then we'll send it in. It'll be very graphic. We'll have a trigger warning at the beginning as well. And
no,
then
but Tim's right. The horse
try
is
to get
dead.
the point across,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But
Horse is
yeah,
dead.
that's the point, is to tell them to shove it up their ass, man.
Move on to something awesome, like
Yeah, I wanted to show something here. We've got some friends of mine released a book. They launched on Indiegogo. They're at 12,000 now. And this book is called Bullet Maker. I'm a proud contributor. We have 13 pages in on this campaign, including pages drawn from Rick, who's in the house, Rick Bonilla. Wonderful artist, former Image Comics. He worked on Atomic Mike years ago, and he's done a plethora of indie scents. He's a very talented guy. We're going to show a little peek of his artwork tonight, but we don't want to give away too much of the story. But you can see the artwork here from Joe Ball. And Bullet Maker is beautiful. It's a 48-page graphic novel with 52 pages from independent comic creators like ourselves. There's more creators listed as well. We'll go down the campaign here, and we can show you all this beautiful artwork. It's going to be released in black and white, which I think is right. The line work looks great. It's going to be a beautiful book. Now, I wanted to go in here and show you the preview here of some of the artwork. Let's see. Yeah, let's get rid of this. Here, I want to.
So I want to know why the eggs were so. While you're setting that up, I want to know why the eggs were so valuable. Did people raise them as pets? Did people cook them in a stew? Why did they want mantis eggs?
Because they wanted, there was a they were quite striking the way they were constructed by each of the females. Each was a little independently different than the others. They were considered extremely valuable pieces of art. So if they could be transported back, they were worth a lot. I always made my treasures something that was hard to get home, but worth the effort. And so and if you could happen to find, because they faded once they hatched, they faded, and those were valuable. But if by some chance you could get one that hadn't hatched yet and get it back, it was worth way more.
That's awesome.
But of course, if you put it in your backpack and kind of forgot about it, and it started hatching and you didn't check, then they just all ate each other, and it was self-defeating as all get out.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine that they're camping on the way back.
I got to put on cheaters for this. My eyes.
Oh, to take a look here at the artwork. Yeah, the line work's great on this.
Oh,
Tim.
yeah, I can barely make that one out, but what I can see looks cool.
Here, there's some pages down here a little larger. Look at the detail in the artwork there. So this is a Western
that needs
fantasy.
That needs to be black and white. That color would ruin that work. Yes, that's absolutely. Black and white's not appreciated like it should be. It's a difficult medium. It's a very difficult medium, but it's underappreciated.
Thanks, Tim, for bringing us back in. We wanted to feature those guys because they were kind enough to feature our studio's artwork in their book. We're happy to get that out to the backers. They're at $12,000 now. So here's a peek at some of the artwork that we have in the book. Let's
It's
go
going to
ahead
be
and-
black and white.
Yes, but the section in the back there's color pages. So we have pages from independent comic creators that they're featuring. And
Okay.
so we went with color with some of this stuff. So we got some characters in here like Eternitech, and we've got a story of him coming up through the ages as an immortal and looking to unlock the secret
Someday
of
I'll
pure
tell you
gene.
the story of the artwork on the first 3 books and the artist who did them and how they had to be changed.
Well, this guy, check out this
Cool, Larry.
artwork,
Count me in.
Tim. This is Rick
Yeah.
Bonilla, the guy sitting next to you, is the one who did the artwork for this here. This is the Vault story, which is a 16th century knight who becomes betrayed by the people that he cares
Well,
about
don't
and
tell me the
cursed.
story. I may want to read it.
Oh, that's just the log line. Yeah, you have to read the story to get it all. You know what I mean? But here's the black and white unlettered, and this is Rick's artwork, so you can see the type of artwork that you're going to
She
get.
just rip his helmet in half.
Absolutely ripped his helmet in half.
Wow.
Probably
We have
not a
him.
guy you want to mess with.
This is
Hmm.
Rick's artwork as well. You can see the detail here on this
Yeah,
scene.
nice stuff.
This is
He did
very.
a beautiful job. Rick is absolutely a wonderful artist that loves our work. I love working with him. We got another snip here that's lettered from the Eternitech story. I think you guys are going to love this. This is from Hayward Saints 8 preview. This is Mammoth Monk and his arch nemesis, Kai Traubeng, who's Karma. And
That is
so
such a
you're going
cool
to get this
concept.
martial arts story from one character of the 8 characters in Hayward Saints 8. This is another page from Rick that's colored by Brian Arfeld. This is the artwork that you're going to get from Rick after it's colored. His line work is fantastic, and Brian is so
I
talented.
like the 3D effect. I like the, he hits him and you've got all the giblify, just,
Well,
gives
this-
you that depth.
That would be Rick's line work. Our colorists are very talented as well, but Rick is just an incredibly detailed and meticulous artist, and he knew we were doing 4 pages, so he pulled out all stops to give us the most detailed artwork possible. The editor, Rick, got back to me and told me several times.
Put one more line in there, it would all been black. I just
Ro came back to me too, Rick. You might want to know that Ro got back to me, and I think on several occasions he told me that the pages look amazing in the book. I told him our boys would deliver. We wanted to give him something special, and this scene is absolutely beautiful. Rick, you knocked it out of the park with this. So good. So good, where he confronts the vampire, and the lord of the castle that she stole is swimming in the swamp with the flies and the lilies. It's gorgeous. Love your work on this one. This was a piece that Rick did as well that I've been using for promotion. And he did an amazing job with this here. Rick, you're so talented. Doomsday Hooch. Very cool, man. And he also
I see
inked
where
this
the
here.
Holy Glove came from.
Yeah. Here, let me show you. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
here,
I saw it. I don't miss it. I used to be my own art director. I don't miss that shit.
Well, it was on the chest to me. That was me. But here, I'll show you where that came from, actually. See if we got. Did I have the shot? I don't have the direct shot.
Yeah,
He did it.
gentlemen, I've got to go. I've been here well over an hour now, and
Yeah, you said you had an hour. That's fine, Tim.
yeah, I have things to do, and I've got 4 minis that I have to get painted before I go to Game Hall, because there are 2 sets of the Dave and Gary minis, and I told Jim I'd paint him a couple of sets to put on display. They're not going to be that good, but at least they'll be painted. I'm going to leave. Good night.
I'm going to have to probably sign off here too.
Hey, do you have a
So-
minute? Hey, Tim.
What?
Tim, before you head out, do you have exactly 1 minute to watch the commercial for my comic series that Ed did the voice lines for? That I wrote the voice lines and he performed them?
1 minute.
Okay, cool. Okay, Sailor. All right, I'll keep it to 1 minute. Here we go. I'll play it for everybody. Let me turn to the live show. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's begin. Please state your name for the record.
I'm Hayward Saint, head of operations, badge 3164. I'll never forget that day. In a time of global turmoil and chaos, God opened reality itself and delivered mankind 8 guardian angels from our ruined future.
We saw this at the beginning.
I mean, what do you do with that?
What did you do?
Only thing I could do. I helped them. And offered them jobs.
Oh, cool. Thanks for hearing me out, Tim.
Yeah, you tricked me. You showed us at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, we took artwork and some of the imagery and put it
You
into the
showed
opening
that little
credits.
animated thingy.
Yep, yeah, we took some of the images from and used them in the opener as well.
All right.
As a commercial. So,
Good
what are
night.
you calling me out for recycling
Yes.
video editing work and artwork?
You're as bad as Discovery.
Well, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. We had Dheeraj Verma on the project. He's worked in comics for like 35 years. He worked on Transformers. They made a video game from some of his work on.
Okay.
Well, he got COVID.
You're speaking to the wrong generation.
Okay.
I'm Warner Brothers.
All right. Well, that's fair. Well, we got
Warner-
delayed. We were
yep.
using the artwork from the concept work, Tim, and Dheeraj
What's up,
did
Doc?
3 pages for us. And he got sick with COVID. He was over in India when they had that big outbreak. He developed pulmonary fibrosis and passed away June 7th when we were going to launch on the 8th. Yeah, he passed away. And so I took some time off. He was my friend. And it hurt me. And then, so now I'm back. I've got a contract out. I screened a bunch of artists. I got a new guy who's just as good as Dheeraj, I think, with his own unique style. And so we're still going to be able to deliver a beautiful book, and we're going to feature Dheeraj's work and do a tribute for him in the book. We got permission to have Brian Polito's public statement published in the book, and I'm going to hire someone really good to do the artwork.
All
We're going to do a cool.
When it happens, I gotta go.
Oh yeah, I'll let you get to it, Tim. All right.
Yep.
Thanks,
I'm
Mike.
gonna I'll have to get going here pretty soon too. Sorry, Ryan. I don't have too much
Well,
more
hey,
time.
man, that's all right. You don't have to apologize to me, man. We know we're ending this thing.
Yeah,
anyway.
it was good to meet you too, and we've been having a great time. We really enjoy the Bullet Maker. We're happy to do everything that we can to help out. So we've been, doing the promotion because we appreciate y'all and we appreciate your book and and what you're trying to accomplish and what you're going with it. So, and we've, so yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And it's always a pleasure to see Tim, and I want to hear more about those mantises. Now he's got me going. I can't wait. And tell the story of the artwork on the 3 books. They said, I want to hear that
Catch him
too.
next time. He can tell us all that.
Yeah, when we go next time, we're gonna.
Yeah,
it's good stuff to get together and just talk pop culture and talk about culture and these crazy times, and then spout off at the mouth a little bit, blow off some steam, and have a good time and have a laugh at it. The shit is fucking ridiculous, so it's nice to get together and basically just laugh at them, because I think that's what future historians are going to do. They're going to look back at all of this woke fad, and they're going to we're going to be the laughing stock of human history. Hopefully it's it's over quickly, and we always have our outlets with people who believe in just doing good content, and we're not going to use any social politics to sell our books. That's not a selling point. For me, it's about creative expression, and we want to do good quality content, and we want to make people happy. We want to make it about that. That's
what it's about.
I
mean, why even be in a gaming industry or an entertainment industry at all if you aren't pleasing your audience? I mean, it's kind of like, it would be silly. Like, let me entertain you and just not do things you like. That's what we want to do. We want to make games. So, but right, guys, it was great. It was great to see you. Appreciate it. Bullet Maker. Absolutely. Glad that this is going on. Thank you again for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Got my number.
Michael, anytime. anytime. We're going to be doing some more of these too. We're going to do a couple more next week, and then a couple more the week after, and get together with our friends here. Thank you so much for coming and watching, you guys. Michael, we'll see you later. I'm going to have Rick, you have a piece of artwork you wanted to show, and we're just going to end on that.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
Have a great night.
All right. Have a good night.
Are you ready? I don't know if you can see it.
All right. Let's see if we can go full screen right on you. Nope, not on me. On you. Nope.
Oh, there I am. And all my ugliness. There, ready?